Hi BookTube, I'm here today with my July wrap-up. I'm doing this off the top of my head and I'm kind of tired, so I'm sorry if I ramble or anything. I'm just gonna get right into it. I have my notes over here. In no particular order, let's start with Rage of Dragons. This was amazing, by Evan Winter. This is the story of a youngish boy, I think he's like a teenager, early adult type around age, and his training to become a soldier. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot of politics, a lot of like family and relationship issues and stuff like that. But the reason this book is so awesome, aside from all those other reasons which are pretty cool, is the magic system. Oh my gosh, when it finally gets told and how the main character uses it, it's amazing. It's one of the best magic systems I ever read, and I was so excited each time we got to visit the magic system more and more in depth. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel, which comes out in November. Then I read 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, and by Bob Joseph. I remember his name. I'm horrible with names. That was really eye-opening. I'm going through right now and making more notes on it because I'm actually reading it with part of a book club in my town. It was actually my suggestion to read this, so I'd already read it, and when they picked it I was like, oh god, I gotta be prepared here. So yeah, I'm making extensive notes about it. It is what it says it is. It's 21 different things that were in the Indian Act or are in the Indian Act that have effects to this day on the Indigenous population of Canada. So the Indian Act, if you don't know, was established, I don't know when, but the issues have been going on, you know, forever. But this is particularly talking about the Canadian interaction, so from Sir John A. Macdonald to present day, and the different changes that have happened within the Indian Act. It was set up as a way to control the Indigenous population. So it said things like where they can live, what they can do for work, who is classified as an Indian and who isn't, depending on who you marry, and blood quantity, and all these kind of things. It set up the residential schools. It even told farmers, no, you can't sell because we need the white farmers to succeed over you. And it was really really well written, in that he explains that this is not a thing of the past. Like, these things have consequences and it is still in place. And he talks about the complicated issues behind the Indian Act and how we can't necessarily just abolish it because it also gave a lot of rights at the same time. So it's like this really kind of complicated issue. I highly suggest you pick it up. Then I read Journey to the Center of the Earth, which, if you want to read it, pay close attention to the title. It is Journey to the Center of the Earth, not In the Center of the Earth, because they never actually make it to the center of the Earth. Spoiler. But I don't think you really care because it's like a 200-year-old book. Yeah, it's just, it was okay. The science was really interesting, because it had me believing it at certain points. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Even though I know it's total BS, you know, because there's nothing in the center of the Earth besides hot stuff. And there were lots of problematic issues, and I'm broiling up this idea of talking about reading problematic texts, and if we can still enjoy them or not. But yeah, there's a lot of problematic issues within that. Yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I'm 3 for 3 for names. And we're gonna miss the name on this one. Slapboxing with Jesus. I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names, but as always I'll have a picture of the author's name here. This was a series of short stories. They're all kind of interconnected. This is one of my best books of the year. All the different stories and all the different characters and people he was talking about. The one standout story that I'm still thinking about is about a young man who sets out to be on his own, to be independent. He's going to school, and then he comes into hoarding problems. and like not just stuff, but like bodily waste, and he's holding on to Kleenex, and it was just like, it was really, I don't want to use the word cool because I don't want it like hoarding to seem cool, like, but the way he told it was just like really eye-opening. Like I could definitely see, you know, why someone would do that now, and I was just like, oh, I should be careful that I don't do this myself. I won't. There's no risk, but like you can, it seems logical, the way he presented it, and I just really enjoyed all the characters and the different stories they were telling, for sure. Definitely recommend that one. I'm sorry I can't remember the author's name. I'm horrible with that. The Hanging Tree, and I'm gonna get this name right because Ben Aaronovitch, this is I think book 5, so I've read, you know, 5 books by him so far, and this is the 5th book in the PC Peter Grant series. I almost forgot that name, and I listened to an audiobook, and the audio narrator is Kobna Holdbrook Smith. I remembered that name too because I've listened to 5 books read by him. And if you want to get into the PC Peter Grant series, definitely go through the audiobooks. Like Kobna's voice for me is Peter Grant, and I know they're making this into a TV show, and I don't know if Kobna is an actor, but like they should definitely get him to play Peter Grant. Anyways, that whole series is about a cop in London discovering that there's a whole magical world and magical crimes, and the Hanging Tree, it really starts to get into this overarching plot, so I can't really tell you about it, but each one kind of centers on one crime, and then with the overarching plot. So the one crime in this is a teenager dies of an apparent overdose of drugs, but of course, because it's set in this world and Peter Grant gets involved, there's magical elements. Yeah. Then I read Wenjack by Joseph Boyden, and yes, I know Joseph Boyden is controversial, but I wanted to read this book. And Wenjack is about Channy Wenjack, who was a young boy, a true story. It's based on a true story. It's a fictionalized version. Channy Wenjack was a young Indigenous boy sent to a residential school, and he decided to run away and try to get home, and he died. And this was 1966, I believe. And it's just kind of like his imagining what was going through his mind and stuff during these things. I'm just reading another book now called Seven Fallen Feathers, which goes further into like the residential school system and into Channy Wenjack's story, and it is yeah, it's astounding. And it really brings to light a lot of the problems with residential schools. Yeah, I'll talk about that book next month. And lastly, I read The Man in the High Castle, and there seems to be this problem with people adapting Philip K. Dick books. So we see this with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep getting interpreted into Blade Runner, which was you could see it drew inspiration from, but it wasn't a very faithful adaptation in any sense of the word. It made it more action-packed. Apologies if the angle has changed. My card was full, so I just had to quickly delete stuff. Okay, I was talking about Blade Runner for some reason. I read The Man in the High Castle because I was seeing all the trailers for the Prime TV show. I think they're on season 4 now, so I don't know how they've stretched out this long, even though I can kind of see it. But anyways, the TV show seemed really action-packed, and I should have known from my experience from reading Blade Runner, or from watching Blade Runner and reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, that maybe that wouldn't be the case, and it's not. Man in the High Castle is a much more character-focused book instead of anything to do with plot. We're in a world where we're in a world where Japan and Germany have won World War II, and they've kind of divided the United States. So Japan has the west side and Germany has the east side, and then there's like a strip of like free America in the middle, I guess as a buffer. And we follow mostly on the Japanese side characters just going about their day-to-day lives. And there's a bit of a background story that involves politics, but it's very much about like, what's this person doing in this world now? And then we follow a woman in the middle state who's looking for the man in the high castle, and the man in the high castle is an author who wrote a book which was about what if America and England and Canada and the Allies in general, I should say that's probably easier, won the World War II instead of Germany and Japan. So it's kind of like, the book is like the reverse of our book. It was really interesting. Again, a lot of problematic things, obviously. A lot of some progressive stuff, I think, for the time, maybe too. Yeah, it was really interesting by the end. It ends up in that Philip K. Dick zone where you're just like, what did I just read? Is this what I really think it is? And I'm interested to see how the TV show plays with the ending, because, you know, if you've read it, you'll know, but I don't want to spoil anything. So yes, that is what I read in July. So let me know what you read in July, and thank you for watching.